All right, we are on to life event number 4. Sadly, Polly is not expected to recover. Patrick has been given the very difficult news that she is irreversibly injured. She's not going to recover from her injuries. All right, now let's talk about what this is going to look like if Patrick and Polly have not done their estate plan. They didn't want to talk about this. They didn't want to think about this. They didn't want to spend money on this. They didn't want to take time off work on this. They'd rather spend money on the vacation. Whatever the reasoning is, they've been putting off this conversation. Well, one question that's going to need to be answered is, how long are we going to keep Polly on life support? She doesn't have any documents in place, so we don't really know what her preferences are. So let me just tell you that you don't ever want to put this decision on someone else. There's a lot of guilt that comes along with it. It's a huge burden, and they don't really know. It's not a very fair position to put them in because they don't know what you would have wanted. I have a client that had to make this decision for her brother 4 years ago, and she said, Kim, to this day, every day, I think, was that the right thing to do? Is that what he would have wanted? What if this? What if that? And she still thinks about it. So it's not fair to put this decision, this life-ending decision for you, on someone else. Well, let's say that the decision has been made to terminate the life support for Polly, so she has passed away. Now we have a couple of different things that we're going to have to deal with. First of all, poor Henry has now lost both of his biological parents, so now he needs a legal guardian. Polly didn't have any documents in place. So what's going to happen is, let's say Patrick is going to go down to the probate court, file a petition, and say, Judge, I would like to be appointed as Henry's guardian. I've basically raised him. He's my son. I'm not his biological father, but I'm his dad. He lives here. He has the siblings. He goes to school here. His friends are here. He's rooted in this community. I think I'm the best choice for the guardian. Well, we also have Henrietta, who Henry is clearly named after. This is Michael's mother from that side of the family. And she thinks, oh my goodness, if I don't go up there and get guardianship of that child, I'm going to lose my relationship with my grandson. I don't know Patrick. He might not let him come see me. What if that relationship is destroyed? So she comes and she files her own petition and says, no, actually, I want you, Judge, to appoint me as the guardian. I am his blood relative. I am his grandmother. I'm part of the family, and I think I'm a better choice than someone who has no relationship to him at all. What do you think is going to happen? I don't know. We're going to have hearings and credit checks and investigations and home visits and background checks and all these different kinds of things, dragging Henry with us all the way. And at the end of the day, the judge, who doesn't know Henry, doesn't know Polly, doesn't know Michael, doesn't know Patrick, doesn't know Henrietta, doesn't know any of these people, has to make a decision about where that child goes. A judge does not want to make that decision because, again, they don't know the history and they don't know any of the people involved. But that's what we're leaving it up to chance, with the judge deciding guardianship if we don't have a document in place. The other thing we're going to have to deal with, now that Polly has passed away, is this cabin up in Wyoming. It was a great family escape, and now it's becoming a huge headache. And here's why. That cabin was in Polly's own personal name when she passed away. Real estate is governed by the state in which it is situated. So what that means is that Patrick is going to have to open a Wyoming probate. So he has to find a Wyoming attorney, open a probate in Wyoming, and probate that one asset out of Polly's name into whoever's name or entity's name that is going to get it out of her estate. Let me tell you, the only thing worse than going through one probate is going through 2 probates. But if you have out-of-state real estate in your own personal name and you pass away with it like that, that's what we have to do. We have to open a probate in that state to get that real estate out of your name. Clearly, these are not ideal situations, so let's talk about how an estate plan could have helped this family. For number 1, the life support issue. There's a document called a living will where you can say what your preferences are regarding how long to continue or when to discontinue life support if you're in a terminal kind of a situation. Let's say Polly had a living will in place, she outlined her preferences. Now when the time comes to make that decision, Patrick and the other family members know that they're not making a decision on her behalf, they're just enforcing what her preferences were. Now, don't get me wrong, it's never an easy decision to make a life-ending decision for someone else, but at least if you have a living will, you're not making the call, you're just doing what that person has already expressed is their preference. For Henry, we can do a document called a long-term guardianship document. We've already talked about the short-term guardianship document, which is that emergency situation, and then the long-term guardian steps in and raises the children for the long term. Now, if you have an estate plan and you have minor children, part of it is going to be this long-term guardianship document where you can outline as a parent what your preferences are as far as guardianship goes. You can name who you think would be the best guardian. You're not relying on the judge to kind of figure it out and make a call for you. So let's say Polly said, Patrick is the logical choice for me. He's basically raised him. He's his dad, not his father, his dad. He's in this community. That's who I choose. So now when Patrick goes down to the court, he has the long-term guardianship document in his hand, and the judge knows what Polly's preferences are. So now Patrick has been appointed the guardian. Well, what about Henrietta? There's not really a legal document that can take care of her, but in our legacy suite, one of the components are legacy letters, where you can outline your preferences to the important people in your plan. One of the legacy letters is to the long-term guardian. So maybe Polly wrote a letter to Patrick that says, it is very important to me that Henry continue his relationship with his family in Texas. And here they are. They're hanging out in Texas. They're doing what they do down there, fishing, right? Whatever they do. So the legacy letter is not legally binding, but it's just some guidance, and presumably you're going to choose someone as a guardian or another important role in the plan that you trust that is going to have your best interest or your children's best interest at heart and wants to do what it is that you think is best. For the Wyoming cabin, let's say Polly and Patrick have their plan. They did a trust as part of their plan. What we can do is change the title of that Wyoming cabin into this Colorado trust. This trust that's formed in Colorado can hold out-of-state real estate. So this is how we can avoid probate for that Wyoming cabin. If it's already in this trust, we don't have to do a probate. It's already in here. Patrick picks up the backpack when Polly passes away, and he's in charge of all of the assets in here, including that cabin.